Delighted to be joined now by behavioural psychologist Jo Hemmings, a good friend of this programme, and welcome back to it, Jo. How have the government managed the balance between nudging us to do the right thing and imposing restrictions?
Well, I think it's now a question of our own personal safety and how we judge that rather than compliance. I think what partygate has done is make people very angry and resentful. And I don't think you can underestimate that in the bigger picture of how we're going to respond to restrictions being fully lifted. So I think that's a driver. Other drivers are our attitude to risk. So the younger people generally tend to be more risk tolerant. They'll be out there doing what they want to do anyway. Older people generally more risk averse. So they may be a little slower in what they do or how they adapt to the lifting of restrictions. They may want to, don't want their safety compromised. I don't think a great deal has to do with what the government's telling us anymore. I do think it's very much down to a matter of the news and the information that we are getting through that's resonating with us. And I think it's very much a personal decision when full restrictions are lifted in an official way as to how people will respond to that.
It is fascinating, isn't it? Because I was just saying in that email that I read out just before beginning this conversation, where you've got people out there who have a profound, almost philosophical opposition to vaccination, having stuff put in your body that you don't like, and what many of us would think was just a very sensible thing to do. If you're being told or encouraged to do it, as you just hinted, by someone who doesn't appear to be doing the right thing themselves, it makes that job fatally difficult.
Yes, I think that's a very good way of putting it. Fatally difficult, i.e. impossible. So I don't think don't think it matters what specific date we're giving. People are generally now going about their lives in the way that they feel suits them. I do think people will still continue perhaps to carry, a mask or some hand sanitizer around with them as a bit of a comforter, almost a reassurance if they find themselves in a compromising situation, they feel a bit of anxiety, maybe they'll put a mask on. Maybe they'll social distance, they feel people are getting too close to them. But it's what the government wanted, really. They wanted us to take personal accountability for how we led our lives. In a way, they've sort of, pushed us down a path that they wanted. But I do think you cannot underestimate the damage that is currently going on within government, or our perception of it, in the way that people respond to the lifting of restrictions. I think a date itself is a fairly artificial moment. Plus, I do think, you cannot, again, the human drive, the fundamental need to get our lives back to normal is very, very strong. It's been 2 years of this now, and I think it will be hastened, if you like, by the fact that we're even considering lifting restrictions at the moment.
Yeah. A quick final one. What do you think medicine, as a profession, as a science, will have learned from how to deal with patients going forward where a threat still exists? Will there have been any big coronavirus lessons?
Well, it's a very interesting question. Obviously, we've heard from a number of doctors who have, attended or sort of done their Hippocratic oath, and they have treated people who are unvaccinated, even though they may feel that was an unwise choice. What I think they will have learned is how to respond to huge and overwhelming issues like this. I think the support for NHS, where I've always felt it so strongly, has wavered in time. There are a lot of lessons to be learned. We know that some people are going to leave the NHS because of it. I hope that others will see it as something they want to be part of, because it's perhaps been the most challenging post-war situation that the NHS has ever seen. Yeah.